every person who is charged with a criminal offense is entitled to defend himself in person or by a legal practitioner of his own choice.
Remember that an individual is entitled to remain silent.
Every citizen in Nigeria is entitled to maintain a private life.
You are approaching a military checkpoint or a police checkpoint without knowing that it's against or it offends them and subject you to a frog jump. That is wrong.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the program Justify Nigeria on ACNN television reaching from Abuja. On today's episode of the program, we are going to be looking at what constitutes a valid contract and a binding contract. My name is Anozie Chinomso. It is often said that all contracts are agreements, but not all agreements are necessarily contracts. This is because there are elements that must be present in any agreement which will eventually constitute a valid and binding contract. Plethora of case laws and law books have defined contract to satisfy these elements. A contract is, however, a legally binding document that defines and governs the rights and duties of the parties to an agreement. A contract is usually and legally enforceable because it meets the requirements and approval of the law. Accordingly, many contracts contain a choice of law clause and jurisdictional clause. This is because these provisions set the laws which will govern the contract and forum in which disputes will be resolved respectively. In order for a contract to be formed, the parties involved must have a consensus addendum, mutual consent, or meeting of the minds. But in a situation where any of the parties does not keep to the terms of the contract, it will definitely constitute into breach of contract. And as such, many questions seem to arise from this. What is contract? What may or may not constitute a valid and binding contract? When can it be said that someone is in breach of a contract? With me in the studio to discuss and address all these questions is Barrister Eric Ibe. Barrister Eric Ibe holds his master's in law, is a notary public, Dean of Practice of Eric Ibe and Associates, legal consultant with ECOWAS Commission on International Law Public Diplomacy. He's also the secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Unity Bar, Abuja. You are welcome to the program, Barrister Eric.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
We hear about contracts. Oftentimes, a layman might not necessarily know. You are a legal luminary on points of law and, of course, to the betterment and understanding of our viewers, what is contract?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
A contract might be defined as an agreement enforceable by law by two or more persons
Okay.
to do or not to do a particular act or acts.
Okay. Two or more people
Yes.
to do or not to do
Yes.
a particular. Please expatiate on those ingredients you just mentioned now.
Well, when you talk about contracts,
Yes.
you know, a lot of people take contract for granted. Some people just want to come and sign something and go, not knowing the implication. You know, once you enter into a contract to do a particular thing, you are bound by law to do those things. And once you enter into a contract not to do a particular thing, you are equally bound by
So
law.
no account will you do that thing which you say you don't want to do.
Exactly.
So basically, that is what contract is all about.
Thank you very much.
Is
That's
it now a true statement that all contracts are agreements, but not all agreements are contracts? Is that true?
Well, it depends on the way you are looking at it from.
Okay.
Yes. All contracts are agreements are not contracts. It
Yeah.
depends.
Okay, depends on the circumstance.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have just a strict jacketed answer.
Exactly.
It depends on the circumstance surrounding the case.
Exactly.
Now, having told us what contract is all about, are there types of these contracts?
Yeah.
You wish to let us know?
There are basically series of types of contracts.
Oh, they are there.
There are a lot of them.
Please name them. And
We
the
have
special.
contract under seal.
Okay.
We have, you know, express contract.
Okay.
We have implied contract.
Okay.
We have unilateral contract.
Okay.
We have bilateral contract. We have void contract. we have voidable contract. So the list is endless.
Please, can we start from void and void? So in law, there's difference between void and voidable.
Exactly.
Please, what is void contract and what is voidable contract?
Thank
Let
you
me start
very
from there. Yes.
A void contract is a contract that is void ab initio.
How?
You cannot, Mr. A cannot willingly and knowingly know or have, you know, the information that a particular thing, let's say a property,
Okay.
you know that this property does not belong to Mr. A, and you go and enter into a contract
With that, Mr. A. So it's void ab initio.
is void.
So no contract is existing.
Yes, and Mr. A again cannot go and enter into a contract with a lunatic. You cannot go and enter into a contract with a man with an unsound mind.
A mad person.
Yes, what are you doing? That contract is void ab initio.
Ab initio.
Yes.
So then what is voidable contract?
Very good. A voidable contract is a contract that a man enters into without without knowing or being in the know of what is ahead of him.
Okay.
Okay. Now, something happened some time ago. A client of mine called me that he bought a vehicle from 3 brothers. They sold a vehicle to him.
From
And now
3 different brothers.
No, 3 of them came together
Okay.
and sold this particular
to your client.
exactly. Now, my client bought this vehicle. Incidentally, the name on the papers,
Of the vehicle.
yes, bears one of the brothers, in fact the third,
Okay.
bears the same name with their father.
Okay.
Now they sold this vehicle to him. The father realized after 3 days that his vehicle was no more. He now called the police. They now arrested
Your client.
the man who bought. Now that contract is not void, it's voidable.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you understand.
Yes.
It's voidable.
It's voidable.
They can refund him his money and
Money.
he returned the car to them. So it is voidable,
Good.
but not void.
But the one that is void ab initio is no remedy, nothing at all.
Yes, you willingly
Okay.
enter into something that you know
Okay.
that will not stand the test of time.
Thank you very much on that void and voidable contract explanation.
Thank
You
you
talked
very
about implied contracts and express. Please, can we just know what do you mean by that?
An express contract may be oral or written.
Okay.
Once a contract is expressly stated, it means there are ingredients of the law
Okay.
stating A, B, C, D, you know, in that contract.
Yes.
But once a contract is
It's not express.
it's not expressly stated, then you
It's
know you must
implied.
prove. There must be an ingredient of the law that you must place to prove that there was a contract. So in the absence of that, it becomes very difficult
to
for-
substantiate.
to substantiate on what that is all about.
All about.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eric.
Thank
You
you.
are doing well in trying to enlighten us on all these types of contracts and all that. Now, are there elements of a valid contract?
Of course.
Before you enter into contract, there must be some. Please, what are those elements? And so that you tell our viewers, so that in future, if they want to enter into a contract, they would know what constitutes valid and what constitutes not a valid contract.
In a valid contract, there must be offer.
Okay.
There must be acceptance.
Okay.
Offer, acceptance, consideration.
Okay. Offer, acceptance, consideration.
And there must be an intention to create legal relationship.
So 4 elements basically.
Exactly.
Offer, acceptance, consideration, and of course intention.
You must have
Please throw more light on all these things.
when you say offer, somebody must, Mr. A or Party A must have an offer to Party B.
Okay.
And Party B, in return, must accept,
Okay.
and in most cases, in writing.
That's the express you've just talked about
Exactly.
now.
You
Okay.
must accept. So there must be offer, there must be acceptance, then acceptance. Then, to crown it all, there must be consideration.
What do you mean by consideration?
Consideration need not to be adequate.
Okay. You need not to be adequate.
Yes.
Okay.
I can decide to sell my property for 1 million,
Okay.
even if other people are selling theirs for 10 million.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Once I made an offer and you accepted.
Okay, so that consideration oftentimes is in monetary form or any kind of form.
Exactly. So there must be something that says, that guides the two or brings the two together.
That is that consideration.
That is that consideration.
Okay. Then you talked about the intention.
Yes.
Yes.
A man must have an intention to create legal relationship. You know, I hope, you know, when the intention to sell a particular plot of land is there, and then you are thinking that no, the intention is to sell a vehicle. Okay. You know, so the intention must be the same with the offer and acceptance. I don't know if you understand.
Yes,
so
sir.
that thing must be there.
Okay.
That consideration, what is it called? The last one we're talking about.
Yes,
now.
your consideration and intention.
All of them must.
Okay, they must congregate together. Must be there.
Exactly. So they flow
together to make it a valid contract.
A valid contract.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Is oral contract enforceable? And of course, what are the things that we need to do? And who has the capacity to contract? Many of all this we are going to get from Barrister Rick after this short timeout. Please do join us again. Hi, you are welcome to the speaker on ACNN television reaching you from Abuja. My name is Anozie Chinomso. Words such as purity and impunity sound and look as if they are the same, but a closer look at them signifies that they are neither the same nor has the same meaning. In a country such as Nigeria that is blessed with so many natural resources, it is expected that she should have people with conscience and purity of heart. But in a situation where political class of this country loot the nation's treasury with reckless abandon, one may be willing to ask whether we have people of purity or impunity. I do not have any malice at all or ill will towards our politicians, but I have my reasons of blaming them for the bad state of things in our country. If anyone is of different view, I'm sorry to say that such a person is a co-conspirator and collaborator who has contributed in vilifying us as a nation and have treated us with contempt. I'm afraid to say that the dark cloud that lies ahead of us as a nation is thick, ugly, frightful, violent, and impassable. And if nothing is done fast, we are going to lose our mystic honor, glory, self-respect, and pride as a country. People are suffering on a daily basis because of calamitous, despicable, and inexplicable decisions and policies government of this day makes. Why should an ex-governor of a state be receiving millions of naira as pension for life? It is frustrating and viliant that they make Senate chambers or ministerial positions as their retirement homes. It is on record that the monthly salary of a Nigerian senator is 29.4 million naira. And when you multiply that by 12 months, that would be a whooping sum of 352.8 million for annual salary of a senator. And yet, minimum wage of a civil servant is 30,000 naira per month, which cannot even buy a bag of rice. What a country. Imagine when you take these analytical facts to ministers, House of Representative members, State House of Assembly members, deputy governors, vice presidents, and presidents, the kind of fever and financial convulsion you will experience is better left unsaid. Suffice it to say here, for the purpose of clarity, that this same group of people recycle themselves around the corridors of power every 4 years during general elections. Secondly, these politicians have their children studying in one of the best schools abroad. It is you and I that are God-forsaken that will have our children study here in Nigeria. Isn't it funny that the Minister of Health seeks medical treatment abroad because of lack of adequate health care facility? It is because of all this that I came to the conclusion that we have more people of impunity in this country than men of purity of heart. A president who nominates his special assistant on social media for screening and confirmation as a National Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is a president of impunity. A politician who has no conscience and careless of the people he's representing is a man of impunity. A minister or public officer who collects money for a job or contract and refuses to do the job is a true definition of impunity. As a lawyer or judge who collect money to obtain judgments through legal technicalities or whatever means and grant electoral victory to someone who was rejected at the polls and make someone who didn't participate in an election to become a president, governor, or even a lawmaker, and eventually take decisions that will affect thousands of people, you are an impunity personified. An employer of labor or a person in private sector who uses his employees as slaves and still refuse to pay them their salaries as at when due is worse than impunity. A boss who refuses to equip his apprentice after many years of service has successfully secured a baptismal name of impunity. A teacher or professor who demands certain or sex for marks to pass his students, please answer when they call you professor of impunity, because that is your name. A medical doctor or a nurse who watches people to die uselessly and carelessly because he alleged that he has not been paid is an elder brother to impunity. As a regulator, government department, ministries and agencies, and you use your job to oppress, harass, and intimidate people, is a good friend to impunity. As a supporter of a politician, and you criticize everything government has done while in opposition, only to speak otherwise when you clinch into power, there is no difference between you and impunity. You are a religious cleric, flying private jets everywhere, up and down, while your congregation is wallowing and swimming in the ocean of poverty. Impunity must be the full meaning of your church or mosque. You that increase the electricity tariff and fuel pump price in spite of the economic challenges in these pandemic times, thereby subjecting helpless and vulnerable citizens into abject poverty. You are the enforcer of impunity. I can go on and on. It is therefore my speech that until we all as citizens of Nigeria, on our various parts, decide to do that which is good and right, reorient ourselves on the things of life and resurrect our dead consciences in all our endeavors, we shall continue to function and live in impunity instead of purity. My name is Anoze Chinomso. I just want to speak. Hello, glad to know that you are still there. We are still in the studio with Barrister Eric Kibe, a legal consultant with ECOWAS Commission on International and Diplomacy. He's also the incumbent General Secretary of Abuja branch of Legal Bar. You are still in the studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Before we went for break, you were trying to elucidate on the issue of a valid contract.
Yes, sir.
And you made mention of 4 ingredients, basically, that none of them should be found wanting. All of them must be there. Offer, then acceptance, consideration, and of course, the intention. So can we now be right to say that the person who wants to make the offer could be called the offerer? Is it correct?
Yes.
Then the person accepting must be called the offeree.
Exactly.
Then there must be a consideration. Now, Barrister Eric, please tell us, who has the capacity to contract? Is it everybody that can enter into contracts? Or there are some classes of people, or there are some group of people? Can anybody enter into contract? Who has the capacity to enter into contracts?
Well, it's not everybody
It's not everybody?
that has the capacity to enter into a contract.
That's why we are here. Please elucidate and enlighten our viewers.
Thank you very much. If you are a minor,
Okay.
if you are a lunatic,
A minor, can you, okay, what are the ranges of the minor?
you know, in Nigeria, once you are 18,
Okay, based on the Constitution, you're a major.
Yes.
So anything less than that, from 17 downwards,
You cannot.
You cannot.
Yes.
You are a minor.
You're a minor. You cannot. You can't
Okay.
go and enter into a contract.
But can that person do that through a legal representative or a major? Can he enter contract through somebody who is a major?
Once the person, it depends. It depends on what you mean by a measure.
Okay.
And whatever. Once, if you're asking a very fundamental question, who has the capacity?
I think that's the question.
Yes. So
and
let us look at those who has the capacity.
Okay, first, the minor.
A minor cannot go into a contract.
Two.
A lunatic cannot go into a contract.
That's a mad person.
Yes.
Yes.
And then somebody who is of unsound mind, who is not in his...
Like an imbecile.
Yes. Cannot go into a contract. If you go into contract with such persons, that contract is void.
Ab initio, just like you explained earlier.
Exactly. So these are the issues. So people must know who. At times people want to take advantage of other people. Don't worry, let's do something with him and all of that. It will not work.
See, that means somehow the law is even protecting them.
Exactly.
So that maybe fraud will not be committed against them.
Exactly. So these are the issues. So people must know exactly who to contract with and who not to.
So once somebody is a minor,
yes,
and of course a lunatic, somebody that is of unsound mind cannot.
He cannot contract.
But apart from these classes of people just mentioned,
yes,
anybody can enter into
exactly.
a contract.
You have the capacity.
Okay.
Once you are not of this class,
okay,
you can contract, and then the law will look at the elements of contract and then decide on that. Okay. When issues arise. Now,
okay, but can't it be said, maybe if there's any argument that might arise, that those people that by the act of maybe contract act, there's an act governing it, have excluded those classes of people, can somebody raise an objection that they have been deprived of their fundamental human right to enter into any kind of... I think it does not arise. Suppose there maybe somebody says those lunatic and those good, they are human beings, they are citizens, maybe nature made them to find themselves in that state. Won't it be deprived? Can't it be said that they are being deprived of their fundamental human rights to associate, and if they are deprived of that?
Going by the elements of contracts, we are saying capacity.
I think that's the fundamental thing.
Do they have capacity? If you are in this class, do you have capacity? If you are in this class, you do not have capacity, so you cannot contract.
The law is clear on that.
The law is clear. The law is the law. The law of reality says what is and what is not is not. Why? Because a door cannot be open and be shut at the same time. That is the law of reality.
And you can't appropriate and reprobate at the same time.
It's not possible. Because somebody somewhere must be, trying to take advantage.
Somewhere?
Yes. Take advantage of that person and his situation.
Yeah.
A man who is of unsound mind, does he know what is 10,000? Does he know what is 1 million? Does he know the
capacity of the property he wants to
sell?
And the sell.
What is the market price? Are you just giving him a peanut to take advantage of him and then sell? I don't know if you understand.
Yes, sir.
Then as I'm talking to you, there is a case at the Supreme Court.
As you speak?
Yes. eBay versus eBay.
Can I be personal to ask you whether it's your own eBay?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Yes. Where someone do not have the capacity to enter into a contract, then the law will look at it and declare. In 1987, that case went to Port Harcourt High Court. They did what they did there, and they got judgment, and we appealed in the early 90s, and then the Court of Appeal, in its wisdom, so that the elements that we're talking about is missing. We got judgment, and they went to the Court of Appeal. I mean, to the Supreme Court. So that is where we are.
So it then means, in their wisdom, they discover that these elements we are talking about now cannot be found, and the capacity as well is not possible.
They identified one person.
Okay.
PW4. What is PW4 saying? The PW4 gave an overwhelming evidence beyond all reasonable doubt that this is what should be done. And their lordship in their wisdom look at it and found merit in it, and then they gave judgment.
And they have gone on appeal to Supreme Court.
Exactly.
And you are also feel optimistic that you are going to.
Most definitely.
I wish you luck, sir.
The law is the law.
Is the law. Is the
Thank
law.
you very much.
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Yes,
Now, sir, earlier you talked about the issue of oral contracts and all that. But basically, you just say that it's better that everything must be expressed, not implied, maybe written and all that. You don't just come and enter. Now, sir, is oral contract, can it be said to be enforceable? Can it be enforceable? If yes, why? If no, why? Or if in between? Oral contract, is it enforceable?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because when you look at the status of fraud,
Okay.
it said that, you know, there are about 6 elements,
Yes.
kinds of contract that must be, you know, looked into before you now talk about whether, you know, an oral contract.
Which law you just quoted one
Statute of fraud.
Please, can we know those things?
There are 6 categories of contracts that must be written down in order to justify status of fraud.
Okay.
They are 1,
Okay.
the contract for sale.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
It can be goods, it can be land. You know, there is a contract for constitution of marriage.
Okay.
You know, and you know there are yes.
Okay.
You know, so you must make sure that these things have some legal, some evidence. You know, if you have promised somebody to marry, if you have promised a lady that you are going to marry her, and then at the end of the day you say, after she has lived with you, maybe for 10 years.
And cooked for you even.
And then you now, at the end of the night, told her that she has to go, that you have found somebody that is younger. Can't you see that that person has gone mad? There are evidences to point to the fact that there was promise. If after all, what was she doing in your house for 10 years?
For 10 years.
So the law must catch up with
in
you.
that aspect, oral contract is enforceable.
It's enforceable.
In that circumstance.
Of course.
Yes.
You have paraded her everywhere.
Everywhere.
Your friends know her.
Oftentimes they even call him a Yahoo and all that.
So what are you saying? You have with your mouth, you know, engaged her. And then the law is saying you must consummate that marriage. So that is it.
So it depends on the circumstance by
Exactly.
which every case now applies.
Exactly. That's why I say yes and no.
No.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eric. And now, what is your advice to our viewers, having said all these things, especially the issue of capacity contract? What can you tell our viewers so that your advice generally, maybe when they want to enter into a contract?
Well, my advice to our viewers is that for you to go into a legal contract, you must make sure that those elements that constitute, you know, a contract is, you know, seen to be in whatever you want to do. You know, make sure that you're not going to contract with a mad person. Make sure you're not going to contract with a lunatic. Make sure that a minor is someone you are not contracting with. Once you look at those things and ensure that you are dealing with somebody who has capacity. You see, here in Abuja, if for you to buy a land in Abuja, you must go and do what they call legal search, so that the law will protect you and expose whoever
That wants to commit fraud.
That wants to commit fraud. So these are the issues. So we must, at all time, don't say because the land is cheap. You saw a land in Maitama that is supposed to be going for 200 million. Somebody says you should bring 5 million. Then you run and go and pay on your own. So you must ensure that you arm yourself with the requirements of the law to ensure that what you are going into, you are being protected.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eric Ibe. I want to appreciate you for coming. I hope next time we'll call you, we'll oblige us to come.
With all pleasure.
Thank you very much. We've
you,
just heard from him. Before you contract, you must have to look at the capacity, who to contract with and who not to contract with. Viewers, that is it for today. Law of contract is a beautiful thing in the sense that it provides an avenue for a valid contract. From our discussion so far, we can boldly say what a binding contract is all about. It is also a statement of fact that our discussions have revealed elements of a valid contract, types of contracts, who has the capacity to contract, and whether or not our contract is enforceable. It is therefore advised that you seize the moment Take advantage of this program and utilize what you have learned. Until we come your way, same time, same station, on another episode of the program, this is Anozichinom, so urging you to justify all issues. And bye for now.